Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video, and if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop that same question again and put repeat question, and it'll get moved to the top. And I get so many questions that even those aren't guaranteed, so just please keep putting it down below, and I promise I'll get to you. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. And we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Platinum Protectors. If you guys need cases for any type of collectible, Platinum Protectors has got you covered. They got stuff for action figures, comic books, diecast, Funko Pops, trading cards, and video games. When it comes to trading cards, they have so many different selections. They are having a massive restock here in the next day or two. So all these booster bundles, the Lorcana booster boxes, all those cases will be back. Same with the ETBs. All different price points. You can pay a couple dollars a case, or you can pay up to, $20-something a case. And then too, if you click my link in the description, you'll receive 10% off your first order of $50 or more. And then also, we dropped my very first merch, the Binder Bound t-shirt and hoodie, you guys know. And if you're going to grade through PSA, you can click my link and use the code BEARD25 to get $25 off. But all right, very first question. This is from Griffin Ballard. As someone who's been in the hobby for only a year now, shall I say coming back to the hobby, I am struggling with a few things, mainly how to build a sealed collection, find product in the wild at MSRP, and also trading for singles/buying singles while on a very strong limited budget. What is the best way to navigate these waters currently? So I've actually made a video similar to this, a how-to video on like how to start collecting, where I go fully in depth, but I'll just kind of run through a little bit of everything right now. So if you're starting off right now and you're a brand new person in this hobby, especially the way the hobby is right now, it's definitely a little tough for sure. So your best bets, like to find sealed product at MSRP, you got to try to find out when your stores restock, and just hopefully you can stand in line maybe and get a couple boxes or two. Otherwise, you can get lucky online, Pokemon Center. There's a lot of free store alerts and stuff and free Discords that'll show you when stuff comes back in stock. You can try that. Again, very, very tough. Especially, if you work during the day, you're going to miss out on a ton of stuff. Because if you're working during the day, you're missing out on all the restocks in store, and then you're probably missing all the online restocks also. So that's where it really, really sucks. So in my opinion, one of the best things you can do in a hobby like right now, especially since stuff is starting to come down in price, you can maybe buy someone's, little collection. Because you're going to be able to get that collection a little bit cheaper than 100% of market. And then maybe you could sell a couple things you don't like, and maybe keep one box you do like. To where maybe you can get that box for MSRP or cheaper. You just got to do a little bit of work, maybe trading or selling some other things in order to get that box for free. So that's something I've done my entire life for literally everything. I've always been buying, big collections and big lots, buying in bulk to then, sell what I don't like or sell what I don't need in order to just get a couple things that I do need for free or for super cheap. And with a lot of stuff coming down in price right now, there will be a ton of like random collection boxes, the stuff that isn't the absolute best to sit on, to where they're going to be dumping that like crazy because they don't want to lose money on it. So they're going to try to sell it, for a decent deal and at least make their money back on it. So you will be able to find some stuff for a pretty decent deal. It's just going to take a little bit of work, and we got to give it a little more time since stuff is actually coming down in price right now. We got to see where everything lands and ends up at. Now, when it comes to buying and trading singles and stuff, your best option is to go to all your local card shops and find out if they have a trade night or anything like that. There's a lot of shops that do that. Or maybe, when their tournament night is happening, a lot of people hang out after and do some trades and stuff. So definitely try that. And I promise it's one of the best things you could do, because you could end up potentially making some good friends, or maybe a best friend or a wife or a husband, whatever it is. You never know what's going to happen. So always try to go out to, these big tournaments and card shops and card shows, because you could meet a ton of awesome people and make a ton of awesome trades. Now, I know on a super tight budget, it's really tough to buy big, massive lots, but you can even buy smaller lots too. You can buy lots on eBay for $40, $50, $60. I just bought a big vintage lot for like $80. It came with like 400 base set cards. Those aren't worth a ton, but if they're super minty and near mint and they could grade 9s and 10s, which some of them are extremely minty, you can make some crazy money on a collection like that. So we'll wrap it all together. So your best bet, especially if you're on a budget, go to your card shops, your card shows, all that stuff, make some friends. I promise you'll make some really, really good trades where it's literally 100%, a fair trade. You're not losing money. They're not losing money. You get a card you want, they get a card they want. And then just try to always look for good deals, big collections, even smaller collections, to where you can then, have stuff for trade or sell some stuff. And one of the things I really recommend people doing is just go try vending once or twice. You know, a lot of people are scared to do it. You don't even need to bring a case. You can literally just bring a couple $100 in like ones, fives, and tens so you have some change, lay out all your cards on the table, and that's it. You know, you got to pay for the table, but a lot of shows, it, you know, depends on how big the show is. It could be a $50 table or a $200 table. But I definitely recommend doing that too, because that is a legitimate cheat code on how to grow your collection super fast. Yeah, this hobby is literally all about like making friends and connections and stuff. So that'll be one of your best options also. It can really open up a ton of doors and you might be able to get some good deals down the road and stuff like that. So just never give up. Always try to meet new people. And another thing I see a ton of people struggle with is when they start their seal collection, they just want to open up everything so badly. So what I really like to do is really focus on one set or a couple sets or whatever it is, and collect all the cards for those sets and then collect the sealed, because you won't feel the need to open the sealed if you already own every single card in the set. You know, it's just not as fun if you're, you know, pulling a card that you already own. It's still fun, but not as fun, you know, instead of like getting that chase card that you need or that you're dreaming about. So collect the set, you know, raw cards, then collect the sealed products, and you will not feel the need to open up those boxes. All right, next question is from Matthew Valente. I have started to notice that the stamp Bulbasaur has a harder gem mint grading than the regular, low sample size, mind you. Given the difference, what's your thoughts about picking some sealed cards for around $40? So this card's going down in price pretty quickly. Actually, it was at $47. Now last sold 17, 22, 23, 19. I have like 3 of these so far. I will be getting a ton of these. I just hope it gets down a lot more. And the reason it's tougher to grade is because it's a promo. Promos always are way tougher to grade. Next is from Trav Poke Collector. Hey Beard, do you think PSA 10 prices of Sword and Shield alt arts can go higher or lower than what they're going for currently? So the way the market's going right now, if you guys did not watch my last Slab Sunday, pretty much every graded card is going down in price right now. And as you can see, the Gengar VMAX here goes up and down, up and down, up and down. I do think there is a possibility for some of these cards to have a, you know, even a bigger high down the road. But right now, I do have a feeling a lot of these are going to retrace a little bit. I mean, we've seen it so many times. That's why I think it's funny when everybody's saying, like, this is a major crash, like this is the big crash where everything's going down to MSRP. Look at the chart. May 2024 was at 726, got down to 580, back up to 1,515 January 2025, down to 1,208. Then now, you know, PSA 10, 2275. Coming down right now at 2K. So yeah, it's very, very normal. What isn't normal is us just going up and up and up for months straight, which is what people get used to. And then when they see stuff go down in price, they start panicking, which I totally understand. It does look like everything's going to crash, but I promise you, stuff will level out. There will be a ton of buyouts. People are going to be doing some crazy stuff here in the next couple months with this market. All right, next is from In Christ Carpentry. Hey Beard, do you think the Charizard Trainer Gallery card is underrated and undervalued? Why or why not? I do. That's one of my favorite Charizard cards, actually. So it has a pretty low pop. 4,400 in the 10, 7,256 in a 9, 1,768 in a 8. So it's pretty tough to grade. It did get all the way up to $373. Now last sold $223, $238, $222, $243. Yeah, especially if this card gets below $200, I would definitely pick up a couple PSA 10 cards. We will check the all-time low, and that is $44 in October of 2023. But most of the time, it's been around $100-something card in a PSA 10. Next is from Nick Samarco. Hey Beard, what do you think about the EX Dragon Secret Rares? I feel like they are severely undervalued in PSA 10 when the pops are 106, 119, and 167, especially for a Charizard line. Are they solid pickups trying to find long-term grails? I am also a big fan of that whole lineup. If you guys did not know, we have the Charizard Secret Rare right here. Kind of a unique art. I think it does look a little bit better in person. And then we have the Charmander and the Charmeleon right here. So these are all Secret Rares, 98, 99, and 100. Very cool line. And just to get a Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard as a Secret Rare, in my opinion, is pretty special. So I'm right there with you. Let's see if Pokedata is up to date. Looks like I got a PSA 10 sale here at 5,800. Another one here at 5K. We got a bunch of PSA 1s at 16 and $2,000. Raw, it's a $400-$500 card in actually like really clean condition. There's a bunch of sales ranging from like 150 to 500 raw. Let's check out the Charmander and Charmeleon. I think the Charmander is the best, like art-wise. So this card raw, $100 with a nice swirl, $150 with a swirl, $130, $72. We got a PSA 9 at $315 and a 10 at $880. And yeah, only 116 of them. Well, now 118. And we'll check the Charmeleon. So let me know down below which one you guys like the best. Raw for the Charmeleon, 75, 80. PSA 9 at 250. So the Charmander is actually worth more. And the PSA 10 at 650. I swear the middle evolutions never get any love. It just blows my mind. But I think that would be a super cool set to pick up. Next is from Dan Collects to the Bearded Thunder. I like that. What do you think of the Mario Pikachu PSA 10 for the long run with a low pop of 2K? Is it worth to keep and never sell? Or hold for a little longer and sell? Not in a rush to sell, as I was lucky enough to get one before the hype on it within the last few months. I don't know if it's worth keeping the investment in that or into other, let's say, sealed items. Love the content and keep it up. So this card did go pretty crazy. Last sold on Pokedata, 16,000, 16,750, 14,000, 17,000. So I have a feeling if you did invest, 16, 17,000 into a ton of sealed products, especially with everything coming down in price right now, if you wait a couple more months and see when everything bottoms out and, you might be able to get some really good deals, that stuff will probably double quicker than this card gets to, $32,000. But again, you have one of the rarest, coolest cards in Pokemon history. I mean, literally the Mario Pikachu. It's a pretty special card to where if it was me personally and I didn't necessarily need the money, I would just keep it. It's a grail. All right, next is from Alan Sanchez. Hey, PokeBeard, can we talk about Coro Coro Mew and how it's skyrocketing right now? So this Coro Coro Mew is one of my all-time favorite cards. This is a Japanese exclusive. And I had a bunch of these raw, but I didn't have any really nice ones that would grade a PSA 9 or 10. But I had a fan, his name is Brad, and he's become one of my good friends. And he actually gave me a PSA 9 Coro Coro Mew. I'll go grab it right now. It's right up here. But yeah, check that out. PSA 9 Coro Coro Mew. One of the coolest gifts. No, this is the coolest gift that I have ever gotten in my entire life. And it's so expensive now. When he gave it to me, it wasn't nearly as expensive. But now a PSA 9 last sold $2,300, $1,850, $1,826, $1,700. We have a PSA 10 sale here at $12,000. Now this did get up to $15,000 in a PSA 10. Yeah, in my opinion, I feel like this card deserves it. I'd rather have this than 100 Bubble Mew EXs, to be honest. Because the sparkle on this card is like no other card. I mean, it's hard to see in the video, but especially slabbed. But the whole card sparkles, even at the bottom. Yeah, I'm a huge fan for sure. I do think it'll kind of level out around 10K in a PSA 10, so I have a feeling it will come down a little bit more and just kind of chill right around 10K. I feel like that's a pretty crazy price still. Next is from 3J Spangle. Mr. Throwback and a Snapback. Do you think normal, unstamped, common, uncommon, rare Delta species cards are worth picking up and stacking? Obviously, a reverse stamp makes them very desirable, but what about ones without a stamp also be worth searching for? So, I actually really like these cards. Delta Species is one of my favorite things Pokemon has ever done. And I feel like if you did collect some of the more popular ones, I feel like, maybe down the road, especially if they're minty, they can definitely go up in price a little bit. But we got the Dragonair Delta Species where it's literally got lightning, as the type. Here's another one with lightning. Also, the art is super cool, and then the Delta Species changes the type. It makes it even more fun to collect. So I think this would be a super fun little thing to collect, and, it has a chance down the road of maybe popping off. It's possible. Next is from a member at DJesusD. For real expensive slabs and or raw cards, what is your suggestion for selling them for optimum value? I know eBay charges a percentage and all card shops or card shows typically buy at a percentage as well. I'm asking this because I know your story about you selling your Neo Genesis Lugia, and was curious if you had any insight to actually get full value out of the top dollar cards. So with the Lugia, it was a little bit different because that card was so rare in a PSA 10 to where, it doesn't come up for sale very often. So when it does, there's going to be a couple people interested in it. But to be honest, if you're really trying to get top dollar, the only place where people are getting top dollar right now is when you vend at a card show. As long as it's right at market or a little bit below market, most people aren't even asking for a discount or anything like that. You do have to pay for your table, so you do have to keep that in mind. But if you sell some maybe cheaper cards or a couple little boxes or something like that, in turn pays for your table, and then focus on selling that one big slab, that definitely might be your best bet. Otherwise, if it is like a truly unique card, posting it on like Facebook, groups and stuff like that will definitely help because there's a ton of people searching for those super rare exclusive cards. All right, next is from Lou Solidana. I probably butchered that. Master Beard, what do you think on GameStop price increase? There's also a rumor that discounts for pro membership will be removed. So what's the point now for memberships? What are your personal thoughts? I actually cannot stand GameStop right now. I absolutely hate them. I hate that they're selling stuff over MSRP. That was one of the only spots where, people could actually go in there and get a couple products at MSRP when a new set came out and stuff like that. So yeah, I absolutely hate everything that they're doing. The grading, the power packs, everything. I'm just not a fan at all. But all right, next is from HouseGroove76. Hello, PokeBeard. Does it make sense to grade with PSA right now with the market downturn and the extended turnaround time for them? I missed out on some great sales because of the COVID submission congestion, and it took over a year to get my cards back in that era. Great vids as always. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people, they either weren't here, they don't remember, but we had the biggest PSA boom ever during COVID. And PSA could not keep up to, like this person said, it took a year for them to get their cards back. Now, it's not quite as bad right now because PSA, they're a little more ready for it. I think I've been hearing 3-4 months on average for cards coming back. But yeah, if you send a card out right now and you get it back 3, 4, or 5 months from now, there's a good chance that card is cut in half. That's one of the risks of grading for sure. But as long as you didn't overpay a ton on the card raw, then it's still going to be worth more in a PSA 10, even if the PSA 10 price does come down a ton. The only thing you can even really do is express grade it if you do want something back sooner, which is like what a lot of people do when a new set comes out and they, go get that brand new Charizard EX. Then they express grade it so that way they can get it back as fast as possible before the prices really crash. But yeah, I remember a ton of people getting so mad back during COVID and, it took over a year to get their cards back. I even did a massive submission during COVID. I did quite a few of them, but I had one that was a few hundred cards, and yeah, I think it took 9 months to get it back. All right, next question is from Timothy N. Hello, Beardo. I've been going to a lot of card shows, and I've had a blast hunting. I've hunted for a PSA 10 master set of 151 and have hit my goal. My next hunt was searching for non-PC ETB promo cards, which was also a blast. Do you have any recommendations for achievable fun things to search for and collect from shows that won't cost too much money? So, trainer galleries, most of them are very affordable. I mean, the most expensive one is the Rayquaza VMAX at 130, followed by the Starmie at about 110. Most of them, are very, very affordable. Crown Zenith, probably one of the best sets to actually master set because every card in the set, the art is insane. And you could also just collect the Galarian gallery. That's what I do. A lot of times I just collect, little subsets. So let's say maybe you want to get into something a little bit more vintage. The Southern Island set, pretty affordable. I mean, Mew's kind of expensive, but a lot of those cards aren't too bad, and it's a very, very small set to complete, so that's really fun. You could even do like the Delta Species Ditto cards, right down here. There's a few different ones. We got the Mr. Mime Ditto, the Pikachu Ditto, the Squirtle Ditto. So there's a ton of little cool little subsets that you can collect. Amazing Rares, Radiant Collection. But yeah, that's some of my favorite things to do is just those small little subsets like that. And it's a blast hunting because they're actually somewhat affordable and you're not spending thousands of dollars. Next is from Philly Eagles fan. Hey Beard, when and where is the show in Columbus? I'm 2 hours away. I want to swing up and say what's up. So I will be vending in Columbus, Ohio, November 15th. So that is coming up very soon. This will be at the Ohio State Fairgrounds. And they're doing a meet and greet with Coop, but I will actually be there vending and I'm bringing a ton of stuff. This is the most stuff that I've ever brought vending. Still not a ton of sealed. You guys know I like to keep my sealed for myself, but a ton of cards, bringing a ton of life-size statues. So if you guys are in the area, definitely swing by. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm very excited. And then I think I even have a show in Chicago the following month. And I think the week before that show in Chicago, I'm going to be in Indianapolis. So I'm going to be traveling all over the event. All right, next is from TGI Sean. What do you think will do better long-term, 151 UPC or Fusion Strike booster box? That is a very, very tough one, but I have a feeling it's going to be the 151 UPC. Those 3 promos are absolutely crazy, and 151 is 100% way more popular than Fusion Strike. There's just way more people collecting, during the 151 era than the Fusion Strike era. So yeah, I am going with the 151 UPC. Not to mention they're a lot bigger, so I just can't see Pokemon being able to print as many 151 UPCs as they can booster boxes, which is like the smallest thing you could even print with the most amount of packs. Next is from @GlebDitto. Hey, Lord of the Beards, do you think kids will actually appreciate their parents leaving them hundreds of boxes of cards that they will have to sell to get their inheritance? Doesn't it make sense to sell stuff early and give them the money while they are still alive? Otherwise, they are just going to lump all the stuff and sell it as a truckload for pennies on the dollar in 20 years. So I totally get what you're saying. Now, my dad was a massive collector, but he didn't really collect like super high-end, like rare stuff. He just collected stuff that he thought was cool and, you know, more stuff about history, which is why I'm so obsessed with like a lot of vintage stuff. I love the history. You know, my dad loved getting like the first of its kind. So there's some stuff that I have from my dad that I would never sell in a million years, you know? So I have a feeling a lot of these sealed boxes and these collections, the kids, when they get them when their parents pass away, probably aren't going to sell them anyways, and they'd probably rather have the collection than some of the money. But I have mentioned this before, that it is smart to sell some stuff when you get older, so everybody can enjoy the money. You know, sell a couple booster boxes or a case here and there when you're older and you guys take a massive vacation or help your kid do a down payment on a house, whatever it is. You know, enjoy some of this while everybody is still alive. But I think it is cool to save some stuff for when you pass away to pass down. And then they have the option to either hold on to the box, you know, maybe another 20, 30 years and pass it down to their kids. Or, you know, sell the box and do whatever. And I've already taught my wife how to sell everything. And if I ever pass away or anything like that, she knows exactly who to call immediately to sell all my stuff to. If she wanted to sell my stuff, and knowing my wife, she's a bigger hoarder than I am, so she's probably not going to want to sell anything. But, you know, I've taught her, and I'm going to teach my daughter not to just sell everything for one big lump sum and, you know, lose out on a ton of money. You know, they're going to be smart. They're going to know exactly how to sell everything. But I totally get what you're saying. We do have to enjoy this stuff while we are here. But all right, next question is from Z2010AG. What do you consider low population for PSA 10 cards in the Sword and Shield era? I recently picked up Ice Rider and Shadow Rider VMAX Alt Arts from Chilling Reign and PSA 10s. I feel like they have high potential down the road as legendary Pokemon Alt Arts that have yet to be introduced on the Pogo platform. Their populations are sub 4,000 in an area where the chases are all 5,000 PSA 10 pops. So I actually see a ton of people get this one a little bit confused, but just because a card has a lower pop does not technically mean it's rare. A lot of times it means that it's just less popular and there isn't as many graded, because not as many people care about the card and want to get it graded. You know, it's a little different if, let's say, there's 4,000 10s in this card and 12,000 9s, then that's a different story. But that's not really what we're dealing with here. And then for the Pokemon Go thing, I don't know if Pokemon Go will be enough to make a card pop off. I haven't really seen, you know, anything from Pokemon Go make a card go crazy. I could be wrong, I guess, because I don't really pay attention to Pokemon Go. I haven't played in a couple years. But let me know down below if you guys are still playing Pokemon Go. And that actually reminds me, I got to ask the question of the day. Is Charizard overrated? Let me know down below. I would love to hear your answers on this one. But all right, next question is from @MMatchum. Hey Beard, I'm having a super hard time debating with myself, but what should I do with my PC ETBs? I've been lucky enough to get some and I've ripped a few. I can't help but notice the prices keep skyrocketing, but knowing there's a possibility the chase could be in there always bothers me. I always take the time to evaluate the stamped. Promos could also sell for a few hundred in some cases. So to be honest, your safest thing is just to keep them sealed. Don't even think about it. Don't even worry about it. Just throw them in your closet, keep them sealed, and odds are that's going to be your best option. Now, if you're a gambling man, you could definitely open up some of these, or all of them if you wanted to, I guess. Open up all the packs and just get everything graded. Now, there's a chance you could come out, you know, the same as what you did with sealed, or there's a chance you could come out way better, but there's also a very good chance you come out way worse. So if you're a gambling man, you can definitely crack open a few here and there and get some of the promos graded. But if you're not really a gambling man and you like more of the safe bet, just keep everything sealed and just forget what's in there. That's what I like to do. Next is from @ApexZ. Hey Beard, firstly, I would like to say thank you for truly making an effort to answer all of our questions. Your answers are always so insightful and I always look forward to your uploads. Thank you. My question is regarding sealed product. What qualifies a box as damaged? I recently started a sealed collection and ordered 2 prismatic ETBs from TCG Player, and one of them came in pretty good shape, but the other one has slight damage to some of the edges. How does slight damage affect a box's value, and can I still sell it for market price down the road? Thank you. So, if Pokemon's doing really good and the market's hot, you really just need to discount it a little bit. Let's say if a box is selling for $300, you know, where it's minty, you're going to get $260 to $280 for your box with a slight damage. You know, but if the market truly cools off, which is what a lot of people are not used to right now, because a lot of people just started in the last year, that's when it gets tough to sell damaged boxes, which is one of the main reasons why I'm so OCD on collecting minty boxes, because I've tried to sell damaged boxes, you know, when everything is cooled off, and it's almost impossible. You got to really discount it, or unless someone wants to just rip it open, then if you do, you know, a little bit of a discount, let's say it's a $70, $80 ETB and you're selling it for $60. A lot of people will buy that ETB just because they want to open it. But when we're talking $200, $300, $400, $500 boxes, not as many people are opening that box and they want to keep it sealed for their sealed collection or investments. That's where, when the market cools off, it's really tough to sell. But, you know, if you just got a couple little dents here and there, that's not, you know, the end of the world, especially in a market like this. And last question is from Michael Eric. Do you think we'll ever get a set as deep as Evolving Skies? So many great cards. Seems like there's a lot of sets that are one-trick ponies. Recently, I think 151 was really good. Yeah, I totally agree. 151 was a very good set. I do wish it was bigger, though, especially after seeing Black Bolt and White Flare. But I get why it wasn't, because Pokemon loves to sprinkle Gen 1 Pokemon in all the different sets. And we've gotten quite a few Gen 1 Pokemon so far in the Scarlet and Violet era. So let's talk about Evolving Skies now. It has 16 alternate arts, which is the most in the Sword and Shield era. It has extremely tough pull rates. It is not a fun set to open at all. And it has some of the most popular Pokemon in Pokemon history all in one set. Not just evolutions, but we're talking like Dragonite and Rayquaza also. So we've never really had a set like that since. The closest set we've had probably is Prismatic Evolutions. If you compare the two sets, both have extremely tough pull rates. Both of them have, you know, an Umbreon leading the pack. Prismatic has all the evolutions. They also have a lot more SIRs than Evolving Skies has alternate arts. But again, I do think the art and the Pokemon chosen for Evolving Skies is much better than Prismatic, because the rest of the SIRs are just Gen 9 Pokemon that already got SIRs in the Scarlet and Violet era. I really wish they would have chosen a bunch of different Pokemon, and I also wish we would have got illustration rares. If we would have got illustration rares in Prismatic with other Pokemon with SIRs, it wouldn't even be a question. Prismatic would probably be the best set ever. Because we also got our first ever English Pokeballs and Master Balls and our first ever God Packs. Like, there's a ton of stuff going for Prismatic. There's just a lot of things going against it also. But yeah, that's probably the closest thing that we've gotten to Evolving Skies. But I do hope one day, and I have a feeling one day we will get another set like Evolving to where it might even be better. Like, it actually might be a fun opening experience also. Like I said, Prismatic could have did it, but they just dropped the ball and they did a bunch of different things. I still believe Crown Zenith is technically an all-around better set than Evolving Skies. It has 3 times the amount of art in it, and the pull rates are amazing. It just doesn't have as rare cards and as popular Pokemon technically. But Crown Zenith is also a pretty crazy set. Yeah, as of right now, there really isn't a set out there that's like Evolving Skies. Probably Team Up would be the closest one, and even then, I think Cosmic Eclipse is right there with Team Up, to where it's literally just a couple different cards, and Cosmic Eclipse actually has the first ever true Trainer Gallery cards, to where I almost like Cosmic Eclipse a little bit more. But alright, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday. If you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, my YouTube membership, or my merch, or the PSA link. You guys know what to do. You guys are the best. But alright, I want you guys to have a great day, and I think the giveaway with Collectr ends tomorrow on Throwback Thursday. So definitely go check out our Instagrams for the free Phantasmal Flames booster box. But alright, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday. If you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my merch, my PSA link, or my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. But alright, I want you guys to have a great day. And if you guys want to watch my last Pokemon Market Monday, which was actually a really good one, click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.